Hello, and welcome to Ramblin' Through Dave's Garden on this glorious mid-April afternoon, following a couple nights ago with a near freeze. A freeze was forecast. Fortunately, did not hit that. Still frost, but did no damage to any of the emerging foliage or to flowers in the garden. Certainly for another several weeks, we still face the possibility of freezes and or frost, more likely to have frost. And an ill-timed frost can inflict considerable damage to newly emerging foliage or to annuals that are planted out too early. So that is a warning to still exercise caution in what you plant early in the season. Today I am removing brown foliage of Hellebores that stray near the paths where they show themselves. This is not a task I do often. Many gardeners, of course, remove foliage of Hellebores long before it browns in late winter. They do that in January, February, sometimes even in December, with the purpose of better seeing flowers that oftentimes are nestled down in the foliage of the hellebore. So, but I view that as an unnecessary task. Occasionally I get around to it, oftentimes not. And as you can see, the flowers stand well above the foliage here. So this has been a splendid spring for Hellebores. With of course they're fading now, but they started late, but the show continues, and even as they fade. So there are hundreds and thousands of flowers on the 150, 200 Hellebores that are in the garden. For today, we will be planting a bareroot witch hazel, Wisley Supreme, one that I have not had in the garden, with a dozen or two witch hazels that flower beginning in November through a few weeks ago, and so I look forward to doing that and showing how we plant a bareroot shrub. And also we'll finish up today with a view of some beautiful flowers of Japanese maples. So thank you for stopping by, and let's get on with it. So this afternoon we are planting a bareroot witch hazel, and as you can see, this has a nice compact root system. Occasionally a bareroot will have roots that extend considerably, and rather than digging a monstrously wide hole, I will typically prune that lengthy root. That will, of course, encourage it to branch and be more compact. But this one, that is not necessary. Planting a bareroot is similar in a lot of respects to planting a container plant or any other plant, and that is that it should be the root flare, or the base of the plant, should be slightly above ground level, in particular in clay soils. And there is no need to make the hole deeper than is necessary. I also do not add soil amendments while planting, as I've found that there's very little need for that. Planting in clay soils are high in nutrients, So really no reason to plant in anything except the native soil. So that's what we will do here in putting the witch hazel into the hole. We will spread the roots out as they were when they were dug, and then just backfill the hole. This soil is pretty damp from rain a couple days ago, but we'll still follow this up with watering. Oftentimes I will plant right before a storm or a rainy day is expected, when it can, and that of course is ideal. That my watering does very little good compared to a good soaking rain. So I prefer to plant when a rain is expected, but I plant so much that thank goodness it doesn't rain that much. So when we backfill, we firm the soil in. No need to stomp it in, and then finish up with a trunk. The fern leaf Japanese maple is by far my favorite of the flowers of Japanese maples, and the reason is quite easy to see. The flowers are much more prominent than on other maples that have considerably smaller flowers, and it also the richness of the color, red with yellow centers that accompany the emerging foliage. Fortunately, again, the leaves were not injured in the frost the other night. So even with a freeze, upper 20s to 30 degrees or so, there should be no damage. But temperatures in the low and mid 20s can be a problem, and there have been times when that has happened here in the garden. Cereu maple is a fine cut-leafed upright maple. It is unusual in that it does have deeply dissected leaves with an upright shape, and two Cereu maples were planted here close to the house, and I'm sure too close to the house, but both have after a period when they obstructed the front walk, now grow over the front walk as was intended 30 years ago, 33 years ago when these were first planted. So the effect is certainly one that exactly what I intended to achieve, and although not as showy as the fern leaf maple, the flowers of Cereu certainly stand out. Burgundy lace maple is fairly common, and certainly not as dark in color or popular as upright maples such as Bloodgood, but it is still a fine maple, and again, in a collection of around 40 maples in this garden, it's certainly a welcome addition. Flowers are not as showy, of course, as the fern leaf maple, and perhaps not quite as showy as on Cereu, but still the flowers make an interesting show if you're looking. Well, the fern leaf maple is my favorite, is to show the flowers. The next in line, and nearly as equal, is the golden full moon maple, and this is not it. That the golden full moon is much slower in leafing than other maples, and it will be several weeks before it begins to flower. This is another favorite, and that is the lion's head Shishigashira Japanese maple. And its flowers are a little later than others. They are not dangling at this point, but certainly that will be happening very soon. So, again, I urge you to pay attention to your Japanese maples, that there is more to them than just their wonderful, beautiful foliage. So I thank you for visiting today, and I will be back soon. I think next on the agenda will be flowering trees, red buds, dogwoods, magnolias, serviceberry that are just bursting into bloom in this mid-April.